Hey there, welcome to my channel. My name is Linda. I have some fun crafts for you today. I have a few sweet friends who will be joining me. You're gonna love this one. This collab is what I'm talking about. This video, and this collaboration with all these sweet friends. I'll explain those details a little bit later. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Today we'll be working on some rustic farmhouse style home decor crafts. Let's get started with project number 1. For this project, I'm bringing in some fabrics. I got most of these between Walmart and Hobby Lobby. You can use whatever you want, but 2 coordinating fabrics here. Some muslin material, and this is a blanket I bought. It was like on sale, Christmas time already on sale, real cheap, inexpensive. And then I have a free pattern for you. The link will be to my blog in the description box below. You'll tape these 2 pieces together, and then you have your head. Okay, and I know once it's put together, looks a little like a ladybug, but don't worry, it won't be a ladybug when we're done. Off camera, I'm going to go ahead and cut my fabric. So for the head, I'm going to cut 2 pieces of the muslin material. For the body, I'm going to use this darker material. Again, cut 2 pieces. I am going to bring in some optional batting. You do not have to do that, but I'm going to cut 2 pieces for the head, 2 pieces for the body. We'll mess with this material in a little bit. All right, so here is what I cut out for the body. I've got 2 pieces fabric, 2 pieces of batting. All right, head, 2 pieces muslin fabric, 2 pieces batting. Okay, what you're going to do, obviously, if you're using batting, you're going to sandwich the batting in between your 2 pieces of fabric for both, head and body. Fabric, 2 pieces of batting, fabric. If you don't want to use batting, don't use it. Just use the 2 pieces of fabric. So like on the head, if you want to just use 2 pieces of fabric, sew around, or if you want to use a fabric glue or hot glue, go in between the 2 pieces of fabric right near the edge, glue all the way around. Okay, if you want to use batting and you're a gluer, you're going to glue batting to each side of the fabric. Don't glue the batting together, this side of the fabric. And then you're going to add glue around the perimeter and then put your 2 pieces of fabric together like this, okay? And leave this opening for stuffing. For the body, it's going to be the same kind of thing, whether or not you're using batting. I'm going to go on with using batting here. And as you can see, I'm leaving all my edges out. I want them out rustic farmhouse cute. Put your batting together in between your fabrics, sew around the edge, leave this top straight portion open. Or if you're gluing, you're going to glue your batting to one side of the fabric. Of course, glue your other batting to the other side of the fabric and then come in between it, around the edge, glue together, again, leaving that straight top edge open. Okay? Now, I'm going to come in and do my sewing here. I'm leaving the edges out because I just like to do that, and I don't have to worry about trying to, match things or whatever to make it look pretty, and I just think it gives it more of a fun, rustic kind of farmhouse kind of theme. Today we are only doing 2 projects. I'm going to say that because I slowed this one down just a little bit, believe it or not. And you can see we're still at about a 30-minute video. All right, so as I'm sewing around the head, when I'm done sewing, I check to see, when you use batting, sometimes your fabric move. And so I check to see, and my head, I didn't quite get the back fabric in, so I had to go around and sew again. When I flipped it over, it wasn't sewn in with the thread, of course, so I have a double seam going all the way around, and to make it look like I did it on purpose, I did the same thing on the body. That's the way you hide it. Now we're going to come in and start stuffing our head, and I'm going to check it as I'm stuffing it to make sure that I've got it stuffed fat enough so that when it fits inside the straight seam on the body, the neck of the body will be nice and smooth along the head. So this is why I'm checking and putting it in here. Do I need to stuff it a little more so that I take up the space of that opening, so to speak? Now in the body, I'm just going to put like a little liner of cotton down at the bottom. All right, and then I've got a baggie here, a sandwich baggie filled with some rocks. I've made like a long roll because our bottom is just this kind of single seam. It's not a square boxed bottom. It's going to just fall over. So I'm putting some rocks in there, and I made 2 long rolls so that it will fit across the whole bottom of the body. And then I'll add stuffing in on top of that, pat it around the rocks so you don't even feel that there's any rocks in there. And as you can see, now our body's like staying upright as I'm, letting go of it to grab stuffing. Now, once I'm all stuffed, I want to just kind of glue that fabric at the top that's kind of loose against the batting. I'm just kind of gluing that together. You don't have to, but I am, because now I'm going to add glue on the inside of that batting there, and I'm going to turn that neck opening in toward the stuffing so that it's nice and finished off. And I'm going to do that all the way around, of course, front and back, just using, glue here. Hot glue again will work just fine. All right, get that looking nice. And then I'm going to stuff my head in here and see, make sure that it's fitting right. Do I need to add some more stuffing in the body? That kind of thing. And then make sure it's nice and flat against there. And then I'll go ahead and glue it if I feel like I've got everything fitting proportionately. And I do. So now I'm going to add glue along the front and back. I do the back first, get my head in, and then glue the front. We will add some trim along that area to cover it up nicely, but let's move on to the beard first. So this is like Mongolian sheepskin, long hair, faux fur. I got it off Etsy. I'll have a link down below if I can still find it for you. But this kind of fur, you kind of have to spread the fur apart and get to that back lining to be able to, make a little less mess of it when you're cutting it out. But I really love this. I just think it gives it a cute, just farmhouse look. I don't know. I just love this long beard material. I will show you something here right now. I got this at Hobby Lobby in store. It's cute fur. I got it for like, the brim of a Santa hat or something like that. But even though it's short, it would look really cute too. And it might be a little more accessible for you guys. I don't know, but that's an option. So I'm just kind of gluing down the top edge, rolling that down of the fur. And then I'm going to lay it on my face because I want to see where my eyes are going to go here. So I'm going to lay down also a little brim of that blanket I showed you at the very beginning, right? I'm cutting the end out for a brim. Here, I'll show you this blanket. Here it is. The end is already done, so I just cut that out. But don't worry, I'll show you what to do if you don't have the end of a blanket. But I just cut that out because I need to lay this on here as well, again, so I can kind of see how far down that's going to go, which is going to be about 2 inches down on the face for me from the top of the head, and then how much spacing I have for my eyes. So I'm going to use regular needle and thread and 2 little round black beads, and then I'm just going to mark with a Sharpie marker where I want those to go. If you don't have black beads, you can use a Sharpie marker and you can draw your little eyes on. You can use paint to draw your eyes on, puffy paint, something like that. And then I'm just coming in from the top of the head and out through where I marked, right, top of the head, out through where I marked that mark, putting my bead on, and then coming right back close to where I came out and back up through the top of the head. Doesn't matter if any of those, thread or knots or anything are going to be seen at the top of the head because that's where the hat goes, right? We're going to cover it. So I'm going to pull it through a little bit tight and then come back down through the top of the head where I marked the second mark, add my bead onto the needle, come right back in close to where I came out and back up through the top, and I'm going to pull it a little bit tight so the eyes sink in a little bit, and then just kind of tie it off, make a knot at the top of the head. All right, and then I want to add some eyebrows. These are optional. I think it's cute. I'm going to use crochet string this time. I'm going to kind of come like this and this on either side of the eye. I'm going to come out the top of the head where I want to at the side of the eye, come up, but right here I don't need to go back up to the top and then back down to the bottom. I'm just going to kind of come up and across from where that first eyebrow is and then come down. I did it with the eyeballs because I wanted to pull them a little bit tightly so they would sink in, but the eyebrows I don't need to, so I can come straight across and stitch that in if you understand what I'm saying. And then once I've got those, I'm going to come back out to the top and tie it off, all right? Now, here's where I'm going to add some trim around the collar. The back is open and exposed. I'm going to just go all the way around because it's easy, but the front is covered by the beard, but we want the back to look nice. Even though we folded it down, it still gives it a little decorative touch. So I'm just, adding some little plaid trim here that kind of matched, gluing it into position. I fold the end over so I don't have just a cut end exposed there, and then glue that down. And then it looks really nice and simple. So let's move on to our hat now. I cut a piece off just for the eyeballs, so I know it's too long, so I got to cut that down a little bit, and I know it's still too long, but we'll get to that in a minute. Here comes in that plaid fabric we're going to use. Now, you could cut it into just a simple triangle shape. I don't have a pattern for you. This is just freehand, but it's really easy to do. First thing I'm going to do is just lay my piece down here because I want to rip my fabric the length of what I have already cut for the brim of my hat. Okay, so I've got it ripped now, and then I ripped it again, so I'm in a rectangle here, and I'm probably about 12 by 24 inches. All I'm going to do is kind of arc that end. Okay, that's it, freehand. You see I'm cutting it
just arcing it off. I know it's a funny shape here when I open it up, but don't worry, everything will get hidden, right? Okay, trust me. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and glue down my little piece here. This was so easy because I didn't have to worry about it, but glue it down, then fold your fabric under so it looks nice and finished, and press that down to your piece. And then on the back side, if you're a gluer, just so it's not floppy, go ahead and, glue that loose end first as well, and then if you're a sewer, you can just sew across the top of the brim. Okay, so you don't have an end of a blanket, you're using something fuzzy, some cute fabric. Here it is, like 3 by 12 inches, just fold it in half, just like that. And then glue that together, boom, like that. And then take your material just like we did, fold it under and glue it to there. That's easy, easy brim, don't have to worry about it. All right, so now I've sewn my fabric to my brim, and I'm wrapping it around the head because I still know it's going to be a little big. I'm pinching it right close to the head, and I'm just going to add a little pin here so I know where to sew my hat closed, right? I'm probably about 1 inch in. You can see there it's probably about 1 inch in, and I'm just going to sew it from there all the way to the end. Of course, if you're a gluer, in between the fabrics, you glue all the way from there to the end, and I'm going to leave my little end open. I'm not going to worry about that. Just leave it open. You're not going to see it. All right? Here it is all sewn all the way to the end, and then I'm just going to cut off that excess. Once you glue or sew that, just cut off your excess. Perfect. And then you're going to flip it so the pretty side is now out. Opening still open, and you can see, yes, it looks funny, but when we kind of put our, hat and kind of wrinkle and crinkle it, you don't even see that, right? Told you not to worry about it. Don't worry about it. All right, so now our hat's a little flat. We need to just fluff it up just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to bring in some stuffing, really light, loose, just adding a little fluff through the whole thing, just so it's just not fabric dangling down to the side of our poor Santa there, all the way kind of down to the end, maybe 1 inch from the end, all right? Just kind of, wiggling it around in there. I'll add a little bit more, just seeing if I like the stuffy there. Add a little bit more toward the top. Perfect, just nice and loose, fluffy. And then I'm going to put it onto the head where I want it to be. It'll come mostly down all the way in the back, and then I'm going to glue that down. And then just right up above the eyebrows in the front, and I'll glue all that down, just glue it all the way around the head. It's looking super cute already, almost like an elf, right? If you didn't have a beard, you could have a little elf here. That would be cute. Just a little idea for you. And now I'm going to see if I like my beard. Everything's good. I'm not going to glue it on quite yet because now I want to add some pink cheeks. I'm going to use my Distress Oxide Ink in Worn Lipstick, a little finger dauber here, and add some circle cheeks. You could do some blush or something like that. Will work perfectly wonderful. Again, now it's really starting to look like an elf, right? But we're making a Santa here. And now I'll go ahead and glue my beard on. Get enough glue on here around the sides a little bit. Glue that on. Now we went from elf to Santa. I'll make sure that's glued along the sides and everything off screen. And then I'm going to glue down at the bottom as well, leaving a little space. We'll come back to that in a minute. I have a little piece of our little blanket here. I'm going to make little slits in this. I've got it already done here. So it's about a 3-inch tall by 10-inch long piece of fabric. I've cut slits about 1 inch apart, 2 inches long. Does that make sense? Okay, here's what this looks like again. About 1 inch from the top all the way down. The blanket really helped because it already kind of came in, sections. And now we're going to go back to what I was talking about a minute ago. I used my laser machine to kind of cut out a wood buckle, right? Because Santa's got to have a buckle. But you can totally cut this out of like foam board or cardboard. Now this is just loosely done here. But like cut a piece of rectangle cardboard, big as you want it. And then, of course, draw it better than this, but draw 2 long rectangles. Boom, and then cut them out with your craft knife. Done. And we'll paint it up and make it look pretty in a minute. I'm going to use this fabric from Walmart. It came in like a little fat quarter to make my belt part of this. So right now I'm just kind of, seeing how wide I can make it to fit in my buckle. And I'm going to have to rip off 2 pieces because this fat quarter isn't very big. And I want it to go all the way around my Santa, of course. So I'm going to have to combine 2 pieces of fabric here to make it work. But of course you can cut 1 long piece if your fabric's big enough. Here I'm just making sure it's going to fit right. As I lay it on here, the fabric's looking a little too flat onto the next fabric. So you know what that means. I will bring out the batting in just a moment here. Yeah, that's just too flat for me. So I want to make sure the pieces, how long I need them to be. So that's why I'm kind of laying it down here, because of course one piece will be shorter than the other. I don't need them both the same length. So that way I can combine them easily. Cut that off. Here's my 2 pieces of length that I need. All right, and then I'm going to sew off camera these 2 pieces together, and then I haven't done it yet. And then I'm going to lay it on the batting, cut my batting to the width I need for the back side, and then I'll go ahead and glue my batting onto the back side. So here comes the next, done. There it is. I probably could have just skipped to that, but there you go. All right, so that's ready. I've got my belt all now sewn to my batting, and I'm just using some black paint here, and I'm painting up my buckle. So if you have to use cardboard or foam board, or want to use cardboard or foam board, nobody will notice. You're painting it black. And now I'm just distressing it a little bit with some sandpaper because it just needs to look a little bit rustic. Super cute. I love this detailing. And of course now I'll thread the belt through the buckle, and we'll get this glued on to our Santa. I just love how this looks. I think my favorite part's the belt, which is so silly because this face is cute. Anyway, I'll get this glued on. I'm going to kind of glue my seam at the side, because where I had to sew the 2 pieces of fabric together. Now I'm making sure also, let me change thought for a minute, I add some glue to the back of the buckle itself so it doesn't move along the fabric. All right. Bringing it around. So when I bring it around, if you look to the left, you'll see my seam of where I had to sew the 2 pieces together on the back. Just a second, let me bring it around. There's my seam right there. So I want where it connects on the other side to be on the side as well, so it looks intentional. It's just how my brain operates. Don't worry about it. Cut off the excess. I'm going to fold that under a little bit so it looks nice and neat, and then I will glue it to the other piece of the fabric. And our belt is done. Super cute. Okay, now let's go ahead and move on to the fringe part of our hat. I'm going to bring in some Distress Oxide Ink and Vintage Photo. Nobody hate me. Santa works hard. He gets a little grungy, so I'm going to use some of that ink and a little finger dauber. You can see how light it is. I'm just going to add a little bit of ink to the outside of the fringe. Later, once I wrap it around the end of the hat, I need to add some to the inside of the fringe, but we'll do that in a second. And I'm going to add a little bit of grungy to the hat as well, right? And then I'm going to add some glue here at the top part of the fringe, of course, where it's all connected. Squeeze the end of my hat here. Now you can see why I left it open, because it doesn't matter. And I'm going to glue, wrapping the fringe around, glue the, well, you know what I'm saying. Wrap the fringe with glue on it around the end of the hat. Now here I kind of see, oh wait, it's a little white on the inside because I forgot to flip it over and do the other side. So I'm just going to add a little bit of ink here. Okay, and then we'll make the top part of that fringe look better. So I've got a little strip of muslin here. It's probably a 1/2 inch maybe. I ripped a little strip of muslin. I've inked it up already. And I'm just going to wrap it around the top of that fringe there and tie a little bow. So that way it kind of hides that area. Gives it a little bit of cuteness. And then I've got a thick piece of twine here, and I'm adding a rusty bell to it, and then I'm going to tie it into a knot with the bell on it. It takes me a minute to figure it out, but I get it. Because I want the bell in the center of the bow, and then I just use a safety pin to attach that to the center of the bow, you know, on that muslin fabric there. Just like that. Perfect. Now you could be done here, but you all know I'm going to add a little bit of greenery and stuff. So to the right side of the hat, I'm going to add like I just said, a little bit of greenery. But again, you don't have to. You could just, I almost was like, should I not add any? But in the end, I do it because that's just what I do. Adding a little bit of these beaded berries. I cut off a pick. They have all these, you know, picks and stuff at Hobby Lobby. So you all know it's been with me a while. I love my favorite beaded berries at Christmas time. And this is some star garland on wire. Can't find it anymore. Got it years ago. My cousin even gave me the rest of what she had. So, whoop, thank you. Adding a few little rusty bells here right in the center of that garland. Hide all that glue. We'll take a look at the results at the end of the video, but that makes this project complete. So today's video is part 2 of obviously a 2-part collaboration with my sweet friends, Wendy, who is White Sparrow Living, Emily, who is FarmCharmChic, and Patty, who is PattiJGood, all here on YouTube with me. A couple of weeks ago, we brought you part 1, which was 'Tis the Season. This is part 2 of To Be Jolly. So when it's all together, 'tis the season to be jolly. I'll have the playlist link in my description box as well as pinned in my comments. It's the same playlist we did at part 1. So now you have all our videos in one convenient location. That is 8 videos of Christmas goodness just for you. Make sure you check out those videos. Tell my sweet friends I said hi. And with that said, let's move on to project number 2. For this project, apparently I have a couple of kitty bums and some materials for you. Stick with me on this. I know it's going to look a little weird, but I think you're going to like it in the end. So let's move Boston out of the way and show you what I'm going to work with. I've got a long sign here I picked up somewhere at one point. I'm going to cut it down. You can have however long and thick you want. A piece of this slat board from Dollar Tree. I think it's a 10-inch long one. This is just a drawer font I picked up at Habitat for Humanity. I'm going to leave the little things in it. I like it. It's going to give this project character and some bed casters. And yeah, I know, bed casters. I wanted those long ones that are vintage with the long shanks on it, but this is all I could find at Habitat for Humanity, but we're going to make it work. Again, stick with me. I think you'll like it in the end. So I'm going to sand this, again, leaving those little metal details because I like it. I'm going to cut this off to about, a little over 12 inches. It's probably about 12.5 inches. Again, you can use whatever length you want. So here we are outside, getting that cut down. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove the hardware first so I can sand this wood. I picked up like 4 of these, I think, at Habitat for Humanity. I guess a lot of places they call it Restore. I'm used to the way it started out at Habitat for Humanity. And then, of course, I'm going to sand it all up. The wood underneath is actually very pretty, and that's what I want to show. And then we'll put the hardware and stuff back on. Like I said, I know this is different. So leave me a comment down below when this is all said and done, and you get the final look of what this project looks like. Give me like a hand clap emoji if you liked it. This might not be for everybody, but maybe you'll at least take some inspiration from it. Okay, so a hand clap down below if you really like how this turned out. Like I said, I know it's a little different. Now I'm putting the hardware back in. Like I said, it's just going to give it a little personality. Well, maybe I didn't say that, but I'm telling you now it's going to give you a little personality, and I like how it looks. I think I did say that. All right, and then we'll get on to the next step, of course. Okay, so the next step, I'm doing inexpensive stain here. We all know this, Waverly Antique Wax. You can pick up at Walmart. You mix it with some water, and you've got, like I said, inexpensive stain. So I'll stain this board, of course. And then, yeah, I am going to stain that other one, even though it's brown. The Waverly Antique Wax in brown is a little bit different shade of brown. But really, I probably didn't have to stain it, but I'm going to do it. Now I'm taking Dixie Belle chalk paint in the color Drop Cloth. Mixing it with some water here. I want it kind of watered down. I want it to look like a wash. I paint it on thick, but then, you know, when later on I go to distress it off camera, I sand it, and then I show you what it looks like sanded. You guys are going to be like, why did you even paint it? There's nothing left on there. It is. There's something on there. I just want a little bit in the background. All right, moving ahead. So my long board at the bottom, this sign is going to fit at the back, which leaves me about 1 inch space. And then I'm going to come about 3 inches in from each end. Okay, and I'm going to drill a hole in the center of that 1 inch space that's left in front of the sign, about halfway in. So from the sign, about 1/2 inch up, and then from the edge, about 3 inches in. There you can see what that looks like. I'm drilling 2 holes for the little shanks of my casters to go into. Now, I didn't have the right size here. I either had one size a little bit too small or a little bit too big. Here's my sign. Distressed, yeah, I took a lot of it off. So, like I said, my hole, we already had that conversation. My hole is a little bit too small, but that's okay because it'll make it nice and tight. So I have to use some muscle here, as you can see. But I do get these shanks into the holes. I'm really pushing here. It looks like it's easy on camera. But I get them in there. All right. They stick out the end probably about 1 inch. But before I push them all the way down, I'm going to go back in. I'm sorry I'm off camera here a little bit. I'm going to add some E6000 glue there. I'm a little bit better on camera around the top of that. So when I push it down to the board, it'll set and glue right in place. Okay? That's what that looks like. I know, it looks a little funny. It's okay. It's all right. Stay with me. Remember, applause emoji in your comments if you like it. Now I'm going to add a little bit of wood glue here. I had to sand off a little bit of the distress stain or the stain off of our board. Add a little bit of wood glue, and you're going to add this long board at the bottom. And when you flip it up, you might want two hands to help. It was a little wobbly for me, but I got it. When you flip this up, the backboard and the wheels, all three, both should contact the bottom of your table there, so that all three together will act like nice stability. Okay, and then once I get it where I want it, I will clamp it, and then off camera I'll add a couple of nails off, the backside here and here, so that it's double duty, together, right? So let's go to our sign here. I will have a free printable for you on my blog, link in the description box, the same place where you're going to find the pattern for the first project. And I cut it out in vinyl, and I'm just, of course, getting it onto my sign here. This project's just about done. Nice and easy, but I think it's so cute because it's so different. I don't know. Again, I really hope I see a lot of those applause emojis. It's how my brain operates, y'all. Get this on here, and then it's not quite done until, of course, I add a little black paint mixed with water, my fan brush, wipe off the excess, and I tap a few splatters here. Now, I'll show you here what it looks like just a second. That makes this project complete. So here we are. This is the final results of both projects. I hope you like them both. I love how they turned out. It's going to be hard not to keep them. That's all I'm going to say. Here's the sign. Come on, it's cute. Really? I mean, let me know. It's so cute. But can you picture that sign if you had those vintage caster wheels with those long shanks, and they were all kind of rusty, but this is all I could find, at Habitat for Humanity. But it gives it, being though they aren't rusty, it gives it a little bit of an upscale look, I think. And like I said, I know it's different. I don't know. I might keep this one. I might keep it. I might have to do it. Anyway, I'm so undecided. It's okay. We can be undecided about our crafts. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed them. Leave me a comment down below and let me know which one you like best, and applause emoji if you liked this particular sign. Please give this video a thumbs up. And if you walked in here for the first time, you're just checking things out, or maybe you came over from my Sweet Friends channel because of this collab, welcome to my channel. If you don't want to miss another thing, make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell before you click off my video. Thank you, Wendy, Emily, and Patty, for this two-part Christmas collaboration. It was a lot of fun. I love you gals. I just love you. That's all I can say, and I hope that's enough. I love you. You're great. We will collaborate again. Kissies. Make sure you go check out that playlist again in my description box and pinned in my comments, and go check out what beautiful Christmas inspiration they have for you today. Now, before I go, I'm going to leave you with one final thought. We must stand tall, stay strong, and keep our hands raised to God. We must never give up and never give in to the enemy. No matter what life throws at us, no matter what war the enemy tries to bring to the valley when we're standing on the highest hill, in the Bible, the book of Psalms, chapter 121 and verse 3, it says, "The Lord will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber." As believers in God, we are taught to raise our hands in worship. This signifies our surrender to Him. But raising hands to God also signifies our vulnerability to Him in such a way that we fully understand and trust God in all His ways. We trust Him to keep us safe because we know that God knows exactly what we need. So within this vulnerability of our hands lifted high, it also signifies our praise and adoration of who God is, what He has done for us, and what He will continue to do for us because of his great love for us. As believers in God, there will be times when we grow tired, weary, our defenses will be down, our faith will be low, and this is where the enemy rages his war even stronger against us in that valley. But on that hill where we are standing, this is where we need to continue to lift our hands high, because no matter what is against us, God is with us and for us. He is our refuge and strength, a very present help in time of trouble. Psalm 46 and verse 1. In the Bible, the book of Exodus, chapter 17, we find the story of Joshua fighting the Amalekites in the valley. Moses, Aaron, and Hur were at the top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his hands to God, the Israelites were winning. When Moses got tired and his arms lowered, the Amalekites were winning. So Moses, with the help of Aaron and Hur, one on one side and one on the other, together they held up the hands of Moses. They put a rock under him so that he could rest, and with all their strength they held his hands up until sunset, while Joshua defeated the Amalekite army with the sword. So no matter what we are facing in life, no matter how hard the enemy tries to wage his war, our hands must always be lifted high to God. Even when we get tired and we don't feel very strong and we feel like we can't keep standing tall, God's help will always be present. He will be our refuge and strength. Refuge on one side and strength on the other, holding our hands up in time of trouble. He will provide his rock to rest upon, and he will win our war with his sword, slaying the enemy at our feet. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5 says, God himself has said, I won't in any way fail you, nor give you up, nor leave you without support. God is always with us to the very end of the age. I thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye.